Hi, this is Rich Lee from the Hall Institute of Public Policy, and welcome to the Hall Institute Public Forum, a live video television program that we do from time to time here at our offices in downtown Trenton. If you're watching us live on the internet, I'd encourage you to click the chat button on your screen, and you can, interact with other people watching the show. If you have a question or comment, you can submit it, and we'll try to get it on the air while we're doing the program. If you're not watching this live, if you're watching one of the recorded versions of it, we'd still like to hear from you, and we've set up a new email address for you. It's hallpublicforum@hallnj.org. So again, if you're watching live, we'd like to hear from you now. If not, send us a comment or a question later on. Our guest today, we're very happy to have Jeffrey Brindle from the New Jersey Law Enforcement Commission. Did I just get all the acronyms correct there?
Pretty much.
Okay, I'm so used to referring to it as ELAC, I have to think of the
that's okay.
One of the things that I do, in addition to working here at the Hall Institute, I teach a class at Rutgers in Media and Government. And usually during the course of the semester, I devote one class to what I call other government, like things, agencies, organizations in government that maybe are not that high profile, yet still have a significant impact on public policy in our state. And I think ELAC kind of falls into that category. And I was wondering, for people watching who may not be that familiar with the commission, if you could give us a brief overview of what it is and what you do.
Yeah, certainly. It's interesting that you talked about teaching a class, right. And I also teach at the College of New Jersey. And what normally happens at the first day of class, I'll introduce myself and I'll tell the students that I work at the Election Law Enforcement Commission. And most of the students, even though they're political science majors, they look at me with a blank stare. Yeah. And they've never heard of the commission.
And there's so many agencies like yours that do a lot of good work and people don't know about
right.
it.
And I just always have the feeling that people in general, the public in general, is not really familiar with the Election Law Enforcement Commission. And even if they are, they don't realize the tremendous responsibilities, the broad jurisdiction that we have as a very small agency of 66 people. I recently was fortunate enough to have a meeting with the Attorney General, Paula Dow, who incidentally I was very impressed with, and I think she's a good choice. But I was describing to her what we do at ELAC, and I was talking about the fact that we regulate all candidates for office, right from fire district through governor.
Right.
From a campaign financial point of view, we oversee political party committees, PACs, special interest PACs, legislative leadership committees, political committees. We also regulate lobbyists. In addition to that, we enforce the pay-to-play laws from a disclosure point of view. And we also administer and hand out the public funds during the gubernatorial campaign for those candidates that qualify as for the public financing program. So we really have a wide breadth, and she was quite surprised.
Yeah.
With all we do as such a small agency.
Yeah, it's really a full plate, and I think maybe to kind of put it into context, I thought it might be helpful if you could walk us through what happens in a typical election cycle. And coming up this fall, the big elections in New Jersey are congressional ones, which I guess are handled by your counterparts. At a federal level, we do have some special elections and all the local elections, but something that people are probably a little bit more familiar with, last year's governor's race. Can you maybe tell me what the process is? I know the candidates file in April. When do the reporting requirements begin, and what sort of things do the candidates have to file with here?
Sure. In general, as I said, all candidates, including governor, do have to file reports with us, and basically it's prior to the primary election and prior to the general election, and we're talking about 29 days before the election, 11 days before the election, and then 20-day post-primary election. And then when the general election comes around again, they file a 29-day general election, 11-day and 20-day
Okay. And
post.
what sort of stuff is in those
Well,
reports?
basically who's contributing to them, how much is being contributed, and of course there's always a contribution limit that has to be adhered to. And they also provide information about how they're spending their money. and where they're spending it on, and so forth. So there's a wealth of information that the public out there is privy to, because we put all of this information on our website, and in a really pretty quick time, within a couple of days, after the reports are filed, we scan them in, and they all go onto the internet.
Okay, yeah, because it's not only something that the candidates are filing because it's required, but it gives the press, the public, an opportunity to review that data. And I think one of the nice things, we were talking earlier before we started about the big change that has happened. I know back when I was a reporter, sometimes I hate to do this because I date myself, but I remember we used to go over and there were hard copies of everything, and now everything is electronic. I had occasion within the last few years to check some stuff, and I was just amazed at the convenience. You can just click online and see it. And not only for myself, but for a member of the general public in the past, they would have had to come down to Trenton and view all those reports. And I was reading your bio, and I understand you were that was one of your projects, was that transformation. Was that?
Yes. As when I started, speaking here, I had kind of mentioned that, not a lot of people out there, the general public are really familiar with what we do. Yeah. And, I felt that, as becoming executive director, there were basically two priorities that I had. One was to make the Election Law Enforcement Commission to enhance public awareness of the commission, because after all, if people don't know that we exist, right, then they can't take advantage of our services, which is very important. We're an integral part of the electoral process, and the information that we provide really helps to make for an informed public. So we like everybody to take advantage of that. Second priority I had was to increase our presence at the legislature and the governor's office for the purpose of being in the ground floor with regard to any kind of legislative reforms that might be proposed with regard to campaign financing or lobbying or any of the areas that we have jurisdiction over.
Okay. Yeah, I'd like to actually follow up on both of those. I'm interested in your outreach efforts, because I see on your website you're doing some interesting things with new media. But maybe for the second point, working with the legislature and the governor and getting involved in, legislation or things to make the whole campaign financing process better. I know the commission has identified pay-to-play reform as your top priority, and it's an issue that's been on the table for a long time. There's been various things done on the state level, local level, I guess maybe in a piecemeal basis, but what sort of changes are you looking for in pay-to-play?
And if I may, just to back up for a moment, one of the things that we have been doing over the years is including legislative proposals in our annual report. And that's kind of basically all we've been doing. We've been, publishing those proposals. This time around, we've done something different. We've prioritized, and we come up with, I think, 6 or 7 priority proposals. One of them being pay-to-play. And we've tried to focus on those proposals and talk to people in the legislature and in the governor's office with regard to those proposals. And try to highlight them in the press and so forth, and get the word out there that these are some of the things that we need to do. With regard to pay-to-play, basically what we've been hearing and what we've been noticing actually over the last couple of years is that there's a lot of confusion out there with regard to the pay-to-play law, primarily because there's the state law, and then within the legislation at the state level,